Hey there. So I'm going to create this video walking through my suggestions for the sales page. The program is called the Worthy Woman Method. It's by a woman named Jill who sells an online group container for coaches to help them grow their businesses. So I don't know too much about the program or the offer, the audience, but I'm going to provide suggestions for the sales page based on conversion copy techniques. So, starting with the hero section headline, the Worthy Woman Method, I've seen a lot of course creators and coaches do this where they just have the name of the offer in the headline itself, or the name of the offer as the headline itself. So this could definitely be optimized. Instead of having the name of the offer as the headline, we could ask a question to draw the reader in or tell the reader what the main outcome will be, the main outcome that they'll get out of the program, something that's a little more benefits oriented, as opposed to just the name of the offer. And then we could have the offer as eyebrow copy, small font above the headline, so people who are landing on the page know what it is. As for the subheadline, I think we could explain a bit more about, like, as I'm reading it, I'm not entirely sure what inner freedom means. Time freedom and money freedom can kind of guess, but we want to really be more specific and explain what is meant by that and why that matters for the reader. So moving down the page, I see that she introduces the program right off the bat. Not knowing that much about the audience, I'm assuming that people who are landing on the page might, be familiar with Jill, maybe even the offer. But I think it's a bit soon to introduce the program. I think we'd want to really meet the reader where they're at before we introduce the program, at least as a general rule of thumb. So, introduce their pain points, their hesitations, and really just, acknowledge the reader and how they're feeling before we introduce the program. So there are other things as well in terms of like the description for the program. I think that we could explain a bit more about what some of these things mean, like emotional regulation and emotional resilience. Again, I can kind of guess, but we really want to spell it out for the reader. Again, it does seem a bit soon to be talking about the price. So we want to really sell the reader on the program so that by the time they see the price, they're like, oh, wow, this is a really good deal. So when I just see that right off the bat, I'm like, oh, wow, that's a lot of money, which is good in a way that it's qualifying people. So those who keep reading will be really committed, or at least more committed. But I think it's just a bit soon to talk about the price. We want to really sell the reader on the program before we introduce the price. So moving further down the page, here she talks about who the worthy woman is. So, this is the person that the reader wants to become, that we want the reader to become. But I don't know if the reader knows that they want to become the worthy woman. We need to really sell them on that, I think. So it's kind of, as I'm reading this, I'm kind of like, well, so what? How does this affect me? So I would probably talk about this further down the page. So, and then, start off the page by introducing the pain points of the reader using the pain, agitate, solution framework. Moving down the page, I see that she talks about what inner freedom, time freedom, and money freedom is, but I would want to see this where we talk about it. So, because, I saw it in the subheadline, I was kind of like, well, what does that mean? And then I see it down here, but I think it would be more powerful to have this where we talk about it. So maybe further up on the page, and maybe we could, shorten the copy a little bit. So then it's great how she has this testimonial. I think that's awesome. my suggestion here would be to optimize the headlines. So instead of just here's what Carissa had to say, we could pull out a quote from the testimonial. So, for example, quote, "The transformation I've had in only 3 months is absolutely out of this world," end quote. And that could be the headline. So we really want to grab the readers who aren't reading every single word and who, are just kind of skimming the headlines on the page. So in this section, I really like how she addresses that fear that people have of not being, or not feeling like they're worthy of success. My first comment would be to just define what success is. What does success mean for these people? Is it, 20-hour work weeks and 6-figure paychecks, or is it just being able to spend every afternoon with their family? Or what does success mean like for the people who are reading this? And I would really kind of define that, and then tell the reader that they're worthy of that. Although I would have this section maybe come after this section. So here she goes into the pain points, that, the reasons that people are on this page and trying to learn more about the program. So I would start maybe with this and then go into this second fear that people have of not being worthy of the success, and then talk about that. And I would actually have this as 2 separate sections. So here, telling them that they're worthy, and then talking about how becoming the worthy woman can help them to, achieve everything that they want to. So here we say, like, here's what it means to be a worthy woman, but it's not really, it's kind of like, as the reader, I'm like, okay, well, so I think this transition needs to be also a little bit like, for example, we say it's safe for you to have everything that you desire. It's safe for your dreams to come to fruition and for you to finally feel at ease in your body and your mind. And then we say, becoming the worthy woman can help you to achieve those things. Here's what it means. Here's what a worthy woman means. So then defining that, but first making the transition so that the reader understands how that's relevant to them. And then why, that's important. So that would be my suggestion there. And again, having this as the kind of the first section below the hero section. So, and optimizing the headline. So we're just kind of summing up what their pain points are. So for example, your mindset's not working for you, ... or something that's going to draw the reader in a bit more. And if we want to have this text, we could have it in smaller font, but we really want the people who are just skimming the page, help them to understand, to first of all, draw them in to keep reading, but also so that they'll understand the main benefits of the program just by skimming the page. Then into this section, I think having the testimonial again is awesome. Again, just optimizing this headline instead of here's what Chelsea had to say, summing up that, transformation that she had. The CTAs I think they're really engaging and get the reader to want to click. So I like those. I like that. Then down in this section, I'm going to tell you a little secret. I think, so here she does some future pacing. And my suggestion here would be some things I'm not entirely sure, like to just be more specific. So for example, you release the subconscious stories that hold you back. Maybe her readers are familiar with that. So, but I wasn't entirely sure what was meant by subconscious stories. Maybe just give an example of that. Like innate capabilities. I mean, just being, and again, her readers might be using the language, but just being aware, like, are my readers using these words and phrases? And that's what that voice of customer research in. And again, they might be, but just maybe instead of innate capabilities, maybe they would say, you're confident in yourself and trust that you can do everything you want to, or something, or but just making sure that we're using their language and being as specific as possible, and in the in the future pacing, so people really see themselves in the copy. But I really think the future pacing is really powerful, and it gets people. I also like how she has some bold certain phrases throughout that makes it really skimmable. And I like this headline as well. I want to be a worthy woman, hashtag. Assuming a lot of her readers might be coming from Instagram, or, obviously use Instagram as kind of an example of how they're, she's speaking their language. So I like that. Then in this section, this program is perfect for you if, as I got to this section, I was kind of like, well, what program? Because the program hasn't been introduced yet. So I like having this section, but I would maybe have it after we introduce the program. So it seems like the placement might be a little bit better after, but that's maybe more of a personal choice there. I don't think it's not a massive thing. Then in this section, I love the testimonials and the screenshots, and I think that's really helps to boost credibility just by seeing, as opposed to just text on the page. It's a different way of showing these testimonials, and I think it's really powerful. So I like that. Then in this section, I would just add headlines. So, and the other thing I would do is change I know to you. So everything that starts with I change to you. So if she could even have the headline and then I know ... that you're tired of comparing yourself, you feel out of integrity, you have generation. So just starting every sentence with you would go a long way. The other thing is, again, some of these things I wasn't entirely sure what they meant. So like out of integrity, what does that mean? What does that mean for the reader? And just explaining that, being really specific in those examples. Then in this section, she explains what is in the course and what the reader will get out of it. And I think the only, the main comment I have was, I feel like it doesn't do justice to everything that's in the program. So I would have a separate section, first of all, for all the content. So for each module, explain the main outcomes, like what the module's on, the main outcomes that people are going to get out of the module, explain all the different resources and tools that they're going to get. Just, tell the reader everything that they're going to get out of those modules and trainings. And so I would start with that. And then the group coaching calls. The other thing was with the content, I wasn't sure, like, how many hours of video, how many modules, how many, just being as specific as possible would go a long way. The group coaching calls, I think that's also great that she has that. But my question would be like, well, how long are the group coaching calls, and will I get to ask questions, or what are the coaching calls like? So really explaining that. And, you can even have testimonials, like one testimonial after the group coaching calls, what someone got out of those calls, just to really kind of drive home the value of each part of the course. So Slack community, and you can even have screenshots of like the calls and of the Slack community. So people can really kind of get a sneak peek to the program and feel like they're already a part of it. That would be my main comment for this section. What you could also do is value stacking. So like write out the price of the value of each section of the course. So like what each module is worth, what those calls are worth. So that by the time the reader gets to the price, they'll feel like, oh, wow, this is a bargain, So that's a very common sales technique used on sales pages, and it works well. So then getting down to this section, again, more testimonials is awesome. And I like how she says they've changed lives, but I think she could be even more specific with how the program has changed lives. So maybe the headline could be The Worthy Woman, or how the Worthy Woman has helped people grow their businesses or 10x their businesses or something like that. So, and how has it helped people change their lives, and just explaining that transformation in the headline. Then here I get down to the section about the lifetime access. I think that's a big part of the course, it seems like, since it says it's the best part of the course, the Worthy Woman Method program. But I'm not entirely sure why it's the best part. So is it because like they get some kind of badge that they can show on their website? Is it because they have access to the Slack channel for life, or do they have like access to this community? And if so, how? So what does the lifetime access include? Or is it just kind of that title of being the worthy woman? So I wasn't entirely sure about what was meant by lifetime access when I got to this section. So I would just define that. And then getting down to this section, she explains how her coaching methods are different. And it sounds like, as she said, the Worthy Woman Method is a no bullshit, raw approach to getting to the root cause of your thoughts and beliefs. So I would have something like that as the headline, instead of just my coaching methods are unorthodox, explain how they're different. So that no bullshit, raw approach on getting to the root cause. So yeah, I would. And then also maybe she says, like, I don't hold back with my clients. Maybe give an example of that and how it's positively impacted them. The other comment I have is this, I think, is awesome. So she says, I created $200,000 in coaching revenue while working 9 to 5. Like, that's huge. So I would have a whole section on this, and where she introduces herself. Even if most people are familiar with Jill, for the people that aren't or who don't know her that well, we want to, I'd have a whole section on introducing Jill, and, so people can telling her story and how the Worthy Woman Method helped her and her story of transformation, so that people will really feel like they can relate to her. And I would have like this as a headline, or, make this more stand out a bit more, because that's a really big selling point, I think, and why people should trust her. So, and the fact that she did it all with the Worthy Woman Method. So I think like just dedicating a longer section on this and really selling her transformation would be beneficial. So again, great, more testimonials. I think just if we, with in particular, this testimony, I really like how they have the before and after transformation, like before I joined. So in the headline, we could sell that transformation, like before Rachel joined the Worthy Woman Method, she was not reaching the level she wanted to, and then she gained the confidence to, take her business to the next level. Or that's not great copy, but something selling the transformation in that headline. Then getting to the last section, the frequently asked questions. So I think that's obviously great to have on the page, but I think that the headline again could be optimized. So we see this kind of placeholder copy used on so many different websites, just FAQs, frequently asked questions. So we just want to maybe, have it something a little bit more engaging, something that's going to grab the reader a bit more, and be just a little bit different. So something like, what other smart women have asked before becoming worthy women, or something like that. So just optimizing that headline. And then, yeah, I like how she ends it with having these testimonials. I do think the font, this in pink, is a little bit hard to read here against the white background. But maybe, yeah, it's the main focus. We want the reader to focus on that answer, so it's not a huge deal. But I would just pay attention to how the design looks on the page and everything as well. And yeah, those are my main comments for the page. So just focusing on the messaging hierarchy and making sure that we're meeting the reader where they're at. Ideally starting with like those pain points, or at least acknowledging the reader and how they're feeling. And then we introducing the program and the price after we, share the full value of the program. And then, just being super specific with the copy and giving examples and making sure that we're speaking their language throughout. So, anyway, hope that was helpful.